Hello, my name is Amelia Walker. I'm the Assistant Director for Education, Partnerships and Skills at Somerset County Council. And this is the Spotlight on IP6. IP6 is a strand of the written statement of action, which is how the county, and that's a whole range of partners, are responding to the SEND inspection that took place in 2020. IP6 is inclusive schools. We're starting to think about this as about a collaboration to achieve a sense of belonging for all in Somerset education. One of the elements of IP6 is the inclusion inquiry. The inclusion inquiry has been running for some time now. The first thing you might have heard of was when the Open Gateway took place earlier this year. It was an open invitation to join in and give views, and that went out to parents, professionals and children and young people. And I'll say a little bit more about who's taken part in that. And it's a really big thank you to everyone who responded. It's been a big job to analyse all the responses because there were a lot. And there was more work that took place over the summer visiting schools and professionals in settings to hear their views and to look at good practice. This is all now being analysed, and the focus is on coming up with hard-hitting recommendations, clear, powerful recommendations that can go out to decision makers and to the system as a whole that will be part of our strategy going forward as a collective for how we do better for children with SEND. And you should be seeing more about this in the coming autumn term. As a brief introduction to our panelists, who have been advised by some very prestigious and knowledgeable people from across the system, but our local head teachers who have been sitting on the panel and have given an enormous amount of time to this process. We had a panel that was in place for the 2021 year, and that is being replaced by a new panel who are coming in to carry the torch forward for 21-22, representing all of the phases of education. The Open Gateway had a fantastic response. Almost 200 responses. We had people from the community, and that's parents, carers and other individuals. Professionals responded. There were events with parents, and we had responses from children and young people, as well as our 8 school leaders who've given their time as panel members. We've had a big response on social media, as well as I said, visits to schools. So there has been a fantastic response and a lot of work that's gone into listening, hearing, and really thinking hard about what people are saying to us. I'm sharing this with you as the nominated lead for IP6. The inquiry findings are detailed and broad-ranging. I won't share them with you here today. That's a role for the inclusion inquiry panel members who will be talking to stakeholders in the coming months and the start of the new term. But I did want to share with you a really interesting thought that has started to come out of so many conversations and so much feedback. And what's really interesting is how much commonality there is in what people are saying, that there is this real feeling of isolation, and that's coming from children, from parents, carers and families, but also from professionals and from schools, and this feeling of being isolated, of being cut off, of not being part of something, and this really powerful notion that actually what is needed at all levels, whoever you are, wherever you work or wherever you go to school, is that you belong, that you're part of something, that you're not left out. And actually, if you think about it, if everyone feels alone, we're all in it together. And there's something about helping everyone to feel like they're not alone, they're part of something, where you do belong and you are wanted. And that's just a really powerful message that has started to come out of this important work. Another part of the programme that we're working on as part of IP6, Inclusive Schools, is around data. We've got lots of numbers in education, but sometimes those numbers haven't been as helpful as they could be. We've been working on a new data dashboard, and that tool is about helping us to understand the impact of pupil characteristics and of intake, and helping us to look at performance data, taking into account the intake of pupils. And it's not as clear-cut as you might think, but the purpose is not to create a league table, which can sometimes be very divisive and unhelpful. It's about enabling schools to look around the county and to identify a school that has similar pupil characteristics to them, and to look at what they might be able to learn from them. So that's been a really helpful piece of work, and the intention will be to take that out so that schools can start to interrogate that and benefit from that insight in the autumn term. Here's an example of the kind of analysis that you can do with the new tool. So one of the axes is performance on Key Stage 2 expected reading, writing, maths, and the other axis is the level of deprivation in the local area where the school is located. You can see there's a bit of a relationship between the two, but not a strong one. And what a school could do is find themselves on this chart and identify schools who had a similar level of deprivation in their area and find out if there was something that they could learn from them, whether there were practice a school who was perhaps doing better on one of the indicators, that they could find out what they were doing and share that good practice. Another really exciting thing, and autumn term is going to be fantastic, will be the launch of the whole education programme. Its launch event started on the 30th of June, but it will really be starting in September in earnest, though I know that colleagues have already started to receive resources and information about that programme in terms of those who have signed up. There's a whole cohort in terms of cohort 1 that will be participating in that, but there will be elements to that programme that will be available to everyone. And what's really important about this is that this will be showing the way for everyone in the system in terms of those really powerful conversations about what good looks like, about what we can learn from each other, because it's all about tapping into the expertise, the insight and the passion of our professionals on the ground, because we know that the answers do lie within our schools. We need to tap into that and give everyone a feeling of confidence that they can press ahead and achieve their ambitions for children. Finally, I just want to share with you our plan in terms of the work that continues. The focus for this year has been on really putting the foundations in place, making sure that we all understand that we've got the things we need to move forward strongly. That work has been very successful, but it now means we're moving to a new phase, and that phase is outward looking. And I expect that you will see a lot more things coming to a school near you in terms of the impact of the programme. We are tightening it up, and what we want is for this to feel a bit more like business as usual, because we're in it for the long term. So the 4 strands that we'll be focusing on are about strategy and communication, which we have heard from so many people is important to you. About school improvement and data, and in the local authority we will be looking at our school improvement approach and thinking about how we integrate with the work that other people do to make it really effective, looking at how we work on an area basis, and also looking at good practice and whole education programme will be part of that. So hopefully you will start to see things really having an impact on the ground. But the written statement of action is only part of a bigger picture. I mentioned communication. That's work that we're doing as part of the written statement of action, but not just as part of our communication about special educational needs and disability. We need to communicate better, and that is something that the local authority can have a particular role in. A single online site where we can hold information, where it's easy to find things, better channels, being clear where you can get information, but also feeling that you're part of something. And that's something that we will be pushing hard on. As we said, we'll be looking at our approach to school improvement. We've recently consulted on support for school leaders, creating a culture of high challenge, but not challenge where there is no support. There has to be high support as well, and our leaders are so much part of that. We're recruiting for board members and an independent chair for our new education strategy board. We have difficult decisions to make, but we can come together and set a really ambitious vision. And I'd be really keen to see applications from as many of you as possible. And if you haven't seen that invitation, please get in touch so that you can be part of that. The Somerset Teaching and Leadership Partnership has recently been established, and they're leading the way in terms of putting in place a behaviour training offer for everyone, reaching the whole system so everyone feels empowered and equipped. And Oxford Brookes University has been commissioned to do a piece of work around early help. It's so important. We haven't always got it right. We've got so much capacity in Somerset, but we need to join it up better, and they're going to help us do that. I'm so excited that the kind of things will be taking place in the next academic year, and looking forward to being able to tell you more about how that's going and how you can be involved.